We can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
There's a new food show sheriff in town, Podna. Trey's Chow Down Podcast Live will feature celebrity chefs and pitmasters with celebrity mixologists with creative cocktail menus from distilleries statewide. We'll have farmers, ranchers, wildlife experts, fishermen, and more, all for the culinary world and the foodies. Live from the Spoonie Studios on the iHeartRadio platform, Trey Chow Down Podcast Live.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. What's everybody doing this morning? Okay, we're here for Trey's Chow Down Live on Friday with Pitmaster Chef Matt Pittman in the house, and we're excited about it. So, Matt, we're going to get right down to it, buddy. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, Matt, so tell everybody about Meat Church. What do you do?
What do I not do these days? So, Meat Church is a super unique barbecue brand. I usually start off by saying we're just about everything but a barbecue restaurant. Because most people hear the name, they say, how'd I come eat your food? But we kind of offer a couple things. We sell a lot of barbecue products, so a lot of seasonings and supplies to make great barbecue. And then I teach barbecue and do little chefy type work. So I kind of evangelize the stuff as well. So
a lot of events. A lot of events.
Ton of events.
first time I saw this guy, I said, "Man, you got to see this barbecue place." I said, "What's the name of it?" They said, "Meat Church." I said, "Oh boy, it's got to be good. Call name Meat Church." So let's start a little bit. Let's start back. So you were in the corporate world, but let's start back. When did you start cooking? How'd you get started?
Meat Church has been a thing for going on 5 years, but I've been an outdoor kind of what I'd call live fire cook, since college or so. So around 20 years. So I just was always naturally the guy that liked to cook out. So I've been a season ticket holder of the Cowboys, mostly bad, more than good, for 18 years now. And I was always a guy that, cooked at our tailgate. I've always done lots of crawfish boils that have, our last one had like 300 something people in my backyard. Wow. So anything to cook with fire, I was just always that guy that wanted to be outside in the elements cooking. Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. We're going to preface something real quick. When he says his backyard is not a normal backyard, is it, Matt? That's true. It's got like the most ridiculous outdoor kitchen I've ever
awesome.
seen.
It's crazy. Okay, I just want to say that when you say backyard,
well,
like a little backyard.
As long as my wife
cook,
isn't watching, it's crazy and insane and badass. If she's watching, it's small and modest. Thanks, honey.
That's right. Yeah, okay. All right, so go ahead. Sorry, I just want to say something about that.
I know it's just cooking outside has just always been my thing. I joke with people. I have a stove in the house, but it's not for cooking. It's for storing my cast iron skillets.
Yeah. Keep them seasoned.
Keep them seasoned. Keep them clean and out of sight. But yeah, I've just always cooked outside and been enamored with it. I moved to Texas when I was 13, and at some point around high school, I had, a bite of what I would call iconic Texas barbecues. So in Lockhart. So
that was Lockhart. I was going to say, that got you. That got the bug, didn't it?
What officially got the bug was I went to Black's in Lockhart and had a bite of a beef rib. And I remember just kind of popping my head back thinking, whoa. Because I grew up on pork and the sweet flavor profile of Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. And so Texas barbecue was really different. First, it was beef. Secondly, there wasn't sauce, and it was simple. I didn't really realize it was salt and pepper at the time, but it was very different than anything I ever had. That is when I was like, I want to do that.
It's the simplicity of the meat and just the little spices that make it, because you use good meat, you don't have to worry about doing all that other stuff, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I really think Texas barbecue is the best. I appreciate all regions, and we can talk about that at some point, but I think Texas is the best. The meat speaks for itself. It's also probably the hardest to master.
Because you can't mask anything, right? With spices or flavors, it's the meat, and you got to cook it right.
Yeah, you got to start with a great product, end with a great product, and then you don't have to do a whole lot to it other than cook it right.
Yeah. Okay. So after you had to buy that rib, then where'd you go from? What happened then?
And so I didn't run out and buy a smoker that day, but I was enamored with Texas barbecue. And then you fast forward into, I can tell you a couple moments. One day I was at work, and a buddy said on a Friday, he said, "You want to go eat barbecue with us tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Okay, well, I'll pick you up at 5." And I said, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow night." He said, "No, 5 a.m." And I said,
5 a.m.
What? He's like, "Well, yeah, we're driving, we're driving down to down to Austin. I'm like, who eats barbecue at 9 a.m? So he explained to me the lines and all of that. And so that's kind of what,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Got me going, okay, this is a big deal here. But then what really like jumped me.
Hang on, where was the place in Austin?
So actually the first place he took me was, where's the first place he took me? We went to so many that day. I was trying to think the very first one that we went to. I know that on one trip we went to Snow's down in Lexington and only open on Saturdays. Currently number one on the Texas Monthly Top 50. Right. We went into Lockhart at first. Okay. That's what it was. So, that way you don't have to wait in the lines and whatnot. So that was a moment that I was like, okay, this Texas barbecue thing is a real deal.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I bought a Big Green Egg, and that was years ago. And that
Big
was just
Green
kind
Egg.
of like, ceramic cooker. Yeah.
And those are popular.
They are. I worked with them for a number of years. And then I was fortunate enough that my wife bought me an offset smoker for Father's Day, which was probably her biggest mistake.
Oh, yeah, right. So explain about real quick what an offset smoker is so I understand if they don't know.
So an offset smoker, it's the purest form of barbecue to me. In Texas, it's normally like an old propane tank.
Right.
And so you've got a big cylinder, like a 2 to 3 foot cook chamber, and then you have an offset firebox. So you have a tube that's normally, let's call it 24 inches in diameter by 5 feet long, and then it has a 2 by 2, 3 by 3 square box hanging off of it. So you build your fire in that, and the smoke enters up and travels over, indirectly over the meat, basically.
Gotcha.
So the meat is offset from the fire. It's not above the fire. So to me, grilling is a fire with meat on top. Smoking is the smoke traveling over. And
that gives everything more even cooked correctly when it just has time to travel over slowly correctly.
That's right. So she bought me an old reverse flow offset smoker that was on wheels.
Older the better.
Yeah. I thought it was beautiful. The neighborhood we lived in, I'll never forget this. The president of the HOA emailed me. He said, "What do you plan to do with that smoking trailer?" And I wrote him back and said, "To make delicious barbecue."
What happened?
We weren't supposed to have trailers. So I said, well, I'll take the wheels off and put it on blocks if you want. I mean, I come from the South.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, he let me get by with it. So
he did. That's funny. It's funny you actually said that. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. So anyway, go ahead from there.
Well, and I ended up, cooking the neighborhood block party the next 4th of July, and it was all good. So.
Yeah. And you've gone from that smoker. Now, give me the stages. So that was your first smoker.
Yeah.
And then where'd you go? What smoker? What'd you do after that?
So then when I started to get a little more serious, I ended up buying a Jambo, which is Jambo made my Jamie gear here just outside of Fort Worth. He's probably the builder of the most iconic competition barbecue pits. I think I've seen a lot of his stuff. Like I judge a lot of barbecue, and I think he has a lot of them. And when I go to these barbecue judgings around Texas, I see a lot of his smokers. You'll see them everywhere.
Yeah.
They're beautiful pits.
Yeah.
I was on the TV show Barbecue Pit Masters about 4.5 years ago, and Jamie helped me get ready for that show. He helped give me some pointers. He's been on a number of times. He's out near the Rendon Burleson area.
Right.
So he's amazing guy, legendary cook. Like, he's an amazing cook, an amazing pit builder, still in business. And so his pits are all over the country. So I used one of his for a while. Then I graduated into an El Rey smoker, which actually I was going to buy another Jambo. The problem was Jamie's so popular, he has almost a year wait list.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he has nothing in reserve. You just can't go pick one up. All to order?
You can't. Yeah. He's just got, I think at the time he was a 10-month wait.
That's strong.
Very strong. And I had a summer gig for Luke Bryan in Nashville, and I needed something more mobile to get there, and I couldn't wait. So another friend of mine in Mansfield, Robbie Pettigrew, he builds El Rey smokers. So it's a similar type smoker. The look is a little different. And so he built me one that's on my trailer rig.
That's the one you have now?
Yes.
That's the one that's painted?
It is.
Yeah, and it's painted like, what is it?
Well, that one's it's black, but it's on a big porch trailer. So it's like a 20-foot trailer that's a 14-foot kitchen with a 6-foot porch with a pit on the back of it.
That's okay.
Yeah. And then I have another one identical to it at my house, stoned in my outdoor kitchen. So that's a little over the top. I've never seen an offset stoned in somebody's kitchen before.
Well, that's why you said when you said backyard, What do you find is the most important thing in a smoker? Like for somebody who's just, what is the most important thing? Like if you were just getting started, you wanted to smoke, what is the most important thing about a smoker that's your key factor that you look for in a smoker?
I get asked that a lot, and it's a really good question. A lot of it comes down to what you're willing to spend, just to say that up front, because, a lot of people aren't in it for
Sure.
They don't want to spend $5,000, and so they might want to go to Academy and buy something cheaper. But it comes down to the material. So the nicer smokers are heavy duty, and then if you can get the number one key to me is an insulated firebox. So Jamie's Jambos or Robbie's El Rey's, they have an insulated firebox, and what that means basically is I can run my fire with one split stick of wood.
Okay.
So when my fire's running, and when it's starting to die down, I can literally put in one split and it just continue to run. Versus, the first offset I basically had to run a forest fire in it.
Yeah, and if you go to competition, you'll see that a lot of times. You'll see people shoving wood and have these big fires in there, and
they're just harder to control. So what I tell people, if you go on Craigslist and you buy some guy just took a propane tank and thought he was a great welder and built a pit, it probably will cook okay. But what you got to think about is you have to manage that fire. So let's say you want to cook your barbecue at 250 degrees. Your job now is to run that fire at a perfect 250 degrees.
It's got to stay the same temperature.
And you just don't know what you're going to get. So there's I'll leave the name out, but there's a pit builder in the South. It's a really popular line of smokers, and it basically, like I said, requires a forest fire to run it. I'm in there, got 6 or 7 splits in there, and it's hard to keep it up to temp. And so it's fire management, what you're willing to do.
Or how long you're willing to spend to do that.
And that's why you've seen the emergence of all these other cookers that are easier. Maybe somebody doesn't want this, 8-foot-long trailer. I work with Traeger grills now, and one of the reasons for that is you don't have to mess with all that fire management. They kind of do it for you. So it just depends on what you want to do.
Well, it's not only that, though. It makes a better product. It's not just the time management. It's just you want a consistent product.
That's right. It's I tell people, my way's not the right way. It's just what I do, right?
It's just what you do.
And who knows what you want to do. You might have the personality that you want to run the fire because you're crazy ADD.
Yeah.
You might be way too busy. You might want to turn it up, dial your temperature up and leave and go live your life and come back.
Right.
You got all these different factors to decide what cooker's right for you. And so fortunately I have them all.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, I went to a funny quick story. I went to Todd David over at Cadillac has a whole hog day every third Saturday or something once a month. So we went over there, and so right before the class started, he told everybody, he said, "Don't ask me this question, I'm going to tell you. Don't ask me this question, I'm going to tell you this, and don't ask me this question, I'm going to tell you." It was about how long to cook, what kind of meat to use, because he said that's what I do. What I do is not what you're going to do. You have to find your niche and make it work, because there's no book. You can read what's guys Austin's Franklin. You can read Franklin's book, but what Franklin does is maybe not what you can do. It's all what individually what you can do and how you feel comfortable making it happen. Correct?
Yeah, and that's one of the things for me. Like, we're out there on social media, obviously, and I'll just say, if you ever put your food out there for that amount of audience, at Meat Church Instagram, wouldn't be mad if you followed me. You put your food out there, everybody's a critic and an expert.
Right.
Thank God I'm not in the restaurant business, because I have to deal with Yelpers.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody thinks they know how to do it, and maybe they do, and I'm not here to criticize anybody. It's different tools for different people, different circumstances, and there's lots of good ways to do it. And at the end of the day, you get to decide what tastes good.
I've never seen you criticize anybody. You're always in a good mood, happy, and lots of times you're busting your butt. At these events we go to, like Chef for Farmers, you're really humping your butt. But that's just what it takes, I guess.
Yeah, my philosophy is, the reason I barbecue, I'll tell you this up front. So the famous Bud Kennedy in Fort Worth once told me, barbecue is the great uniter.
Yeah,
and that has stuck with me. And so I tell people, I barbecue to bring people together, to have a good time, make great memories. Our lives center around food.
Sure.
Think about how much
As
time.
does mine.
Exactly. I know. Your job's awesome. So, I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm here to enjoy what I'm doing, take a picture, have a good memory, honestly have a drink or 10.
If you don't think barbecue's not popular, these events we get, like Smoked, I could not believe the line of people. The line when I left, the Smoked, when I get in there and try to get in there and get back early. When I left, the line was, I swear, 3 blocks long. I'm not exaggerating. It was long.
Right. It's insane.
And they'll wait.
I know. I mean, you think about like Franklin's line.
Yeah.
If you're willing to wait 5 hours, you're committed.
Yeah. That must be good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just, I really don't think, like you said, it's just the meat.
Right.
It's the camaraderie. It's the waiting. It's the experience. It's how it tastes. It's the people around you, the atmosphere. Right. It's the whole thing.
The first time I waited at Franklin's, I didn't know Aaron yet, and I remember now I know it was his wife came out with a bus bin full of beer, handing it out, and I sat there in chairs and got to know people around me, and I'll never forget it. And so I've told somebody lately, we should go wait. let's go.
Yeah.
Let's just go hang out.
And that's what it was the other day at Cadillac. The line was two blocks long before they opened up. And if you look back, I went over there for research stuff and see what they were doing. But everybody was talking. As a matter of fact, I went around back to watch some of the pit stuff, and the people next to people around start talking to my girlfriend. And so it was a camaraderie thing. And you come back and everybody's, hey,
I got a funny story from Cadillac. I took Mo Case on there a few months ago. He's in town from
Mo Case.
So
Mo Case is on. What's the show called?
He's on everything.
Yeah. What's the one with?
He's been on Chopped. He's been on Pitmasters. Right. He was famously on all the Little Caesars commercials all last year.
Oh yeah.
So.
Okay.
But we waited through the line and we sat down, and this guy came up, and I thought he knew Mo because he started hugging him and asked me if I could take their picture, and I did. And the guy went and got back in line. Well, we had just sat down. I realized I got the wrong drink. And so I said, I'm going to go back up here. So I went to the register, and I ended up right next to the guy. And he said, anybody ever tell you look like that Meat Church guy? And I thought he was joking with me. And I go, yeah, my wife says that every now and then. And he's like, wait, are you him? Yeah. Nobody knows my name. They just knows me as the Meat Church guy.
Hey, man, we're going to get into that story too. But the Meat Church, really, the name alone is just fantastic.
My barbecue is very mediocre. I just have a really good name and awesome pictures.
Yeah, sure, whatever, dude. Whatever. You had, let's see, I had a great, at Chef for Farmers this year, beef tongue, right?
Yeah.
Pastrami
beef tongue.
Pastrami beef tongue.
Yeah.
And when you say beef tongue, people freak out. But if you don't tell them what it is and they eat it, they'll be like, oh my God.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about that because I just got back from New York where I made some pastrami stuff because I was in New York. And I was thinking about that lingua again. I thought it was the best thing we served, but half people won't try it because they hear tongue and they're like, I'm out.
Yeah. It was awesome. I think we had two or three servings of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my favorite thing we served. But.
I backed up though when I came back for the third time, and the line was about a half a block or a block long back there waiting. But y'all you move quick. I mean, it's just
but people. You can just come around.
Yeah,
I need to go say hi to Matt.
I know that's right.
So we even loaned you things to take your pictures.
Oh, that's right. That turned out great too. By the way, I bet I had 10 people ask me or 5 people ask me, where'd you get that? I need it for pictures.
Yeah,
you can't have it.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah. And matter of fact, I went and got some.
Yep.
I do for all my stuff now. I do for Fox 4. We have zipper size cutting board stuff because it's all about presentation.
Yeah, looks
presentation.
Good on wood. Yeah.
All right, so tell us, how did the name Meat Church come around?
So
and give me the long version, not the short version.
Yeah. No, I'll give you the long version. So before we were a company, we competed in barbecue, and I wanted a new cool name, and so I was trying to think of what I would do. Well. Alice Lasad over in Dallas, she is the CEO of Meat Fight.
Right.
Super cool charity
I like
that fights
thing.
MS. We support them. Alice is one of the funniest humans ever. I remember she tweeted on a Sunday morning, she was at Slow Bone eating barbecue, and she posted a picture of her barbecue, and she tweeted, I'm about to sit down and have my hashtag Meat Church.
Oh.
And I screenshot. I thought that was
very
funny.
Cool.
But I wasn't, at the time, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take that. So went on about my business, and when we started to rebrand or come up with a new name for a competition team, I just started thinking, and I had several things in my head. We go to all these Cowboy games and cook out for these huge tailgate spots on Sunday. Then I started thinking, for whatever reason, every Sunday night we grilled every Sunday night, so steaks, whatever, for the family. And I thought, well, if I called it church, first off, it was unique, but secondly, I thought that's kind of about the fellowship aspect of hanging out,
family fellowship,
right. So I'm Southern Baptist. Meat Church isn't anything religious,
right?
So I went with it, but I was a little nervous. I thought, man, with my background and my upbringing, like, what's this gonna do?
Yeah.
And one of the first events I did, Texas Egg Fest down in Austin, I did this demo and everything went really good, and people liked the name and were buying our merch, but a guy comes walking up to me in a legit priest, get up, like a little white square.
Oh no! Would you freak out?
I see him coming, and I'll never forget where I was standing. I was like, "Oh dear Lord!"
That's a great story.
He walked right up to me and he said, "Meat Church, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "That's a church I can get behind." And so
that's
now,
fantastic, dude.
In 5 years of doing this, I've only ever had 2 people even kind of question it, but no one has ever seemed offended by it. We certainly flirt with religious just a little bit, not in a disrespectful way at all.
Right.
But I think the name has been a gigantic part of our success.
There's no way, first of all, that when you hear the name that you could think inferior product at all. I mean, there's not the name, and a lot of people now, branding is the key thing in any business, but now even more branding is, because all social media, it's super, super important. And people sometimes don't spend any time on their names, like, A&K Barbecue, or
that's right. Something in smoke.
It's consequential, or their initials or their family's name.
Right.
And that's all fine and good if you've been doing it a while, but that name right there, I mean, it's fantastic.
I've told people, I really do think it's been, I don't know, 25% of our success. I just make up a number, but people love it. We set ourselves apart from I guess you could say we have competitors. I'll tell you this up front. I tell people I don't have competitors because I always say I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm carving my own path. There's not many people like me that are like, well, I'm gonna sell these products. I'm gonna act like a chef. I'm gonna go evangelize and teach barbecue. I'm doing something totally unique.
Yeah.
I'm basically marketing to myself.
Right.
So I've never really followed anybody. But I definitely think that it stood out. And so I have all this merch. So a lot of people like me, technically competitors, they've got a bunch of products and they have like a shirt, a hat, or a couple, and they're forgettable. But we're just trying to do cool stuff and be more of a lifestyle, to be honest with you. And it seems to be working. So
and when I think about your name, I think about like Cadillac Barbecue. That's a good name.
Yep, good name. Very unique.
Because it says class or whatever, and then a barbecue on the Brazos, that you're eating barbecue. It sounds like you're down by the river, family type deal. So the
Plus,
name
I
is
love John and his grits.
Yeah, John and his grits. Oh, and his sandwich, his gobble. Have you had that sandwich?
Yes, I've had the sandwich on the jalapeno cheese.
On that bread. Yeah, isn't that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a lot of merch that you sell. Let's back up a minute. You have a new storefront, correct? And tell us about that.
Just about to open. So we sell stuff all over the world, mainly to the U.S., but we have distribution in Canada, Australia, and the U.K. And so, I'll say this up front. We're opening a flagship store in Waxahachie, Texas. And up front, I'll mention it may not be my best idea because it's, down to this 2,000-foot brick and mortar. But because we ship all over and we fulfill ourselves, a very, very much so, if only family work at our company.
Right.
So we're able to look at every order that comes in and process it. We needed a bigger facility to do that. And I was about to retire from corporate America and I needed an office. So through looking for spots for that, we found a really cool building about 130 years old and said this would be a cool barbecue supply store.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going with. So it's on the Waxahachie Square, which is one of the most gorgeous courthouses in the state of Texas, right out our front door. And it should be really cool. The building built in 1890, and there's nothing new in the store. So even the shelves that your stuff will go on, everything is reclaimed or old. There's currently nothing in the store newer than 1930 other than my refrigerator, my kegerator, my freezer, and my wine refrigerator.
Well, are you going to put a little steeple on top with steak hanging off of it?
It's funny you say that. We were at a wrecking company called Orreed in Dallas, and they're like, we have this 30-foot steeple. Could you use it? And I was like, it wouldn't fit, but that'd be over the... Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure my dad would come visit me on that one and say, take that down.
Okay, so a while ago we touched on where you grew up. Now, where you grew up in what town did you grow up in?
So I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Right, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was going to get to. So explain the difference between, because a lot of people don't understand that, or if they do, they don't really know the details of it. Explain the difference between barbecue in Tennessee and barbecue in Texas.
Yeah, so I spent a ton of time. My family's from Alabama and Georgia, and they met in Tennessee. So I spent a lot of time in Tennessee and Alabama, but all the barbecue's very similar. There's some nuances. So in the South, in general, it's a lot of pork. So a lot of ribs, a lot of pulled pork, and there's generally sauce, and it's a
white
sweeter
sauce.
Well, on the pork, it's not. On chicken down in Decatur, Alabama, at Big Bob Gibson's, it is a white sauce.
Okay.
So, but it's generally just a sweeter flavor profile and not a lot of beef. In fact, let's say you're in Nashville, you go to my friend Carrie's Peg Leg Porker. Amazing experience.
Wait, Peg Leg Porker?
Carrie doesn't have one leg, and he is most place Peg.
I was going to say it's a great name.
It is. He's literally the funniest guy in barbecue.
Oh.
Everyone should go there.
Did I see him on? Was he on TV?
Oh, he's been on a million shows.
I've seen him.
He's quite the personality.
Okay.
So he doesn't serve brisket, and he says up front, leave that to the Texas boy. So point is, it's generally going to be a sweeter flavor profile off pork, chicken, things like that. You just didn't get a lot of beef. Now, there are variances there. In Tennessee, West Tennessee, the ribs don't have sauce. It's a dry rib.
Dry rib.
You go down south like Alabama, Georgia, you're going to get sauce. Again, it's going to be sweet, so just different. And I'll mention this. I always tell people I appreciate all the regions of barbecue. They may not be how I do it, but if we go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Dreamland, they cook their ribs over a direct fire, 3 to 4 feet, and the ribs cook in, an hour. Well, my ribs take 5 hours.
Right.
They don't do it how I do it, but I appreciate their approach and what went into it, and I, I'm down with it. So anyway, I grew up on that, where I think pork is easier to cook. I think there's a lot of latitude with it, and that's kind of what I was used to, and totally different lifestyle.
Cool. We're going to be out. Me and Matt and I are going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Listen to what we got for you on the advertisements, and we'll see y'all in just a few minutes on Spoonie.
This is the only 24-hour take.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's work. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
All right, we're back. We good? Okay. All right, folks, we're back with Matt Pittman with Meat Church on Spoonie. All right, Matt, so let's pick up where we left off. We're talking about the barbecue and the difference. So tell people, if you watch TV, you don't really get to see everything that goes on. You just see kind of what they want you to see, production values type deal. But if you if you're preparing barbecue here in Texas, there's a lot of dry rubs that people put on there, or salt and pepper, or whatever. So tell us the difference between that, how you prepare that, versus how they prepare the where you're from, Tennessee.
I think it's more straightforward. I would say simple. One time a guy here said, "Don't call it simple, call it straightforward." Sounds more complex.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah. I mean, so here, they say that Texas barbecue doesn't need sauce. So Central Texas barbecue is seasoned generally with coarse cracked black pepper and salt, and it's cooked with post oak. And that's really it. And so historically, there's not a lot of sauce. That's a pretty big quandary for people, because a lot of people think barbecue's I love barbecue sauce as a condiment, maybe off to the side. And but anyway, so it's just a lot more simple, and maybe it's that beef doesn't need it. Now, if you go into competition, that's right.
Yeah. If
you go to competition, guys are having to put sauce on their brisket, because that's just a whole different animal. Yeah, it's just totally different.
Anytime I go, I go to every restaurant I can, because that's my business. And anytime I go to a new restaurant, I never taste the sauce first. I don't want. I scream out. I taste them. I taste all the meat, and then I go back and then I'll try the sauces, because once you put that sauce in your palate, unless you can get your palate clean, it's not. You don't. It's a whole different flavor profile.
Yeah, it's totally different. And I love all sauces. I mean, so we're going to roll out sauce this year for that very reason. I love a Texas type sauce, like that I'd learned from competing. Yeah. I like the Kansas City sauce. It's a little spicier. In the Carolinas, they have a vinegar sauce and mustard sauces. Right. I love those. I love the tangy.
I like mustard. Yeah, some people don't, but I do. Yeah.
I just enjoy that. It's got its place. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'd make you what I'd consider a Texas turkey with salt and pepper that'll knock your head back, and then I'd love to dip it in mustard sauce.
Knock your head back. I love that. Well, bam.
Well, some buddy of mine, Lance, down at Style Switch in Austin.
Style Switch.
Very good.
Yeah.
He, fed me his turkey years ago, and I had always put a sweeter seasoning on turkey. So I'm thinking poultry at home, like chicken, and my seasoning is what I would do. And so I had his kind of salt and pepper, and it's like, whoa, like that pepper will, pop you.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, that's good. And I teach that now. And it's funny, in a holiday class where I have prime grade prime rib as the showcase, the turkey is a star of the show, and it's turkey with salt and pepper.
It's like John's sandwich, same type deal.
Love it.
So now I do love just the simple salt and pepper rubs. I mean, I'm a big bark guy.
Yeah.
I love bark.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy, do I love bark! And I think that makes the best bark. I really do. If it's controlled and cooked properly, I think it makes the best bark.
Yeah, I mean, so my primary rub, our holy cow rub, is mostly salt and pepper, a little bit of garlic, and you combine that on a brisket, fat up, cooked low and slow, and let that bark set. There's nothing better.
So what's this about? You see people that trim all the fat. Why would you trim the fat off a brisket? Doesn't the fat give it the flavor?
Yeah, so I say up front that fat is flavor, in moderation. So you got to get your, the fat cap on a brisket, you need to get it down to like a 1/4 inch or so. But you're going to a store and it says super trim brisket, I would never buy that. If it's just all meat, you got to have some fat in there.
You have to.
It helps with the bark too.
So, in your opinion, how many people look for bark nowadays? Like, I guess a lot because it's been so prevalent on TV and shows and all that stuff.
Well, especially in Texas. But I can tell you that, I can put out some photos of brisket or beef ribs, and there will be people around the country that will comment that's burned. They just don't know.
Or for me now, like, oh, dude, it's bad now. Like for me now, because when you're reaching 100,000 or 200,000 people a week with your post, they'll be like, there's no bark on that brisket. I wouldn't touch that. So now it's either burned, or there's not enough bark on there. There's no between.
It's just funny what you see, like, where's the bark? Where's the smoke ring? Where's this? Where's that? So,
professionals, because you know why?
You, man,
TV and social media.
Yeah, everybody's an expert behind that keyboard.
That's why I call them keyboard cowboys.
Yeah, that's right. They're tough.
Okay, so let's talk about meat. Now, of course, my family's been in the ranch business for 170 years. We grow beef, and we're all natural. No kind of steroids or anything of any kind. A lot of people use 44 Farms. What do you use?
I do use 44 Farms. My primary ranch partner is E3 out of Fort Scott, Kansas, which is a really cool story. I've used 44, quite a lot out in Cameron. Love those guys. But in either case, I'm also a fan of a never ever. So no hormones or antibiotics.
Right.
I want to know what goes into the meat. So I always tell people, you need to know your rancher if possible.
Rancher, a farmer.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're getting a produce, an onion, a head of lettuce, a beef. I think it's important now that you know who it is.
It's extremely important.
Relationships.
Because meat's such a commodity now.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to me. And so that's why I have aligned with one particular group, in most cases. Because I know exactly how the animal's been treated humanely and, know what I'm feeding my family.
Sure. I think the relationship now, and you're not the only one, Blaine has said this, and Patrick was here last week, he said relationship, man. But I've always been a relationship guy. That's why I build relationships with chefs, with friends. Mm-hmm. I think everything nowadays is built on relationship because so many people do stuff on keyboards and by mail and email. It's not the same as a relationship.
That's right. You don't have as much in-person handshake. No. Everything's in email.
Face to face, baby.
And, it's funny you say that. So the reason I work with E3, we found each other online, and I didn't know them. They didn't know me. I'd never heard of them. And they're owned by Adam LaRoche, the guy that famously walked away from baseball 3 years ago, walked away from almost $20 million after being in the league like 15 years. And the story broke because he brought his kid into the clubhouse. Well, his kid had been in the clubhouse his entire life, and the White Sox had a really bad year. And the next year, as soon as spring training started, they came up with all these new rules. So anyway, I knew that he had a ranch and had beef and was selling some or giving some to his teammates, and they sent me some to try. And I'll never forget this. On a Tuesday night, I made a strip steak, and my wife said, "What'd you do that steak?" I said, "Nothing. Why?" And she said, "That's the best steak you've ever made." I don't make strips, like we're ribeyes, fillets, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, "Well, it's this E3 stuff." So anyway, I love the beef. Well, then I got to know these guys. They are the best people. They're big Christian folks, but their ranch is amazing. Their operation's amazing. They're not huge, but they're just, our relationship will never be broken. They're the best people of all time.
I don't think huge is good. I think the bigger you get, I don't care who says it or how they say it. Just like us, we used to own those restaurants. The bigger you get, the more trouble it is to control quality from, I don't care if it's an animal, anything.
Oh, that's exactly right. You open that second restaurant, that third restaurant.
Boy.
You expand your hours.
Or you go from, if you go from 250 head to 10,000 head. I mean, it's hard to control.
Yeah.
If someone's more and also too, if the owner stays more personally involved with the business, they're involved with the product, they're involved with the customers, they're involved with the cooking and everything that goes on. It just retains, and it's a better perception for the customer, and they get a better product.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. I mean, people say I make the best brisket ever. Well, it's easy to make that one brisket in your backyard, but when you got to scale that to making 50 a day or 300 a week, or as you grow, it's impossible to keep.
So you were just speaking about events and backyards. You were just in New York. Tell us what you were doing in New York.
So it was really
besides
cool.
being a Yankee.
Yeah. You could tell I'm a tourist when I'm up here by the way I dress.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hang on. Let me state that I was joking because I love all walks of life, especially the food that comes out of New York. Culinary skills in New York, culinary stuff in New York is awesome.
Yeah, we ate
L.A., New York, Miami. It's all badass. So anyway, go ahead.
We barely slept so I could eat my way through New York. So I partnered with Traeger Grills, and I was there with Chef Tim Hollingsworth and Chef Amanda Haas, both from California, to launch new grills that are going to be publicly launched in March for Traeger.
Sure.
So we were cooking. The three of us were cooking for the media. It was really cool. It was like People Magazine, Wall Street Journal, big names.
That's all it is. It's all big name in New York.
Yeah.
You just got to get invited in, buddy.
Yeah.
And guess what? You got the open door.
Well, and Tim just won
church.
I think so.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The guys I was there with were, way out of my league. Tim just won the final table on Netflix, and he was amazing. The coolest thing at the end, he's like, I want to do something with you. So we're either going to do like a class and a dinner here in Dallas, coming up towards the summer, where he's going to come here and do something. Oh, yeah. You're number one on the list.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. So
I'm just pumped for that. So we're trying to work out the details of that now. Yeah.
That. And so what did you cook in New York? Hang on. Where did you cook?
So we were on the west side. Kind of. It wasn't like any like famous venue. They've got this cool venue in Midtown that has a patio, which is very rare.
Oh yeah, in Midtown it'd be very rare.
So it was, we were able to have like 12 or 15 grills out there going.
Oh, that's really huge cool there.
Space. Yeah, it was.
How they have that much real estate?
It's unreal.
Wow,
super cool place. So the vents are small, and so they were trying to show the versatility of the grill, and so I was there obviously to do barbecue, but I made them brisket and burn-ins one day, which I think might have been the star of everything because they don't have that sort of thing, right?
I bet they freaked out. No, burn-ins? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then the next day we did, Tuesday I wanted to do a little play on New York, so we did a pastrami brisket and a boudin sausage. And we grilled rye, and we made Russian dressing and with a little mustard and put that all together as like an hors d'oeuvre for a cocktail party. So they ate it up.
That's awesome.
It was good.
What were some of the comments you got? Like someone who's never had a burn-in or tried it, what were some of the comments you got?
That's what it was all about. I mean, the burn-ins weren't even done yet, and Amanda, one of the other chefs, was like, I don't even need to make this chicken.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was just there for the barbecue, but
okay,
it was good.
Quick, my burn-in story I got to tell you because it's amazing. So I was doing the best barbecue dishes and the most creative barbecue dishes I thought in DFW for Fox Television, and I had to come up with these dishes. Well, it's 3 months and you can't just it's got to be something that's really unique. You're never going to do it for TV. So I was going around, and I happened to be at an event in Dallas, and Todd and Misty were there with pastrami burn-ins, Akushi pastrami burn-ins.
Unreal.
Unreal. Yeah. I had one. I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" So I took those. Well, have you done stuff for Fox yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, when you they're like vultures down there in the studios. Okay, like
especially
vultures.
the production people.
Yeah. Oh my god. So I had all these, and we were literally fighting them back. No, we're not done yet. No, we still got to tape. No, we got to do this, dude. By the time I got through there, they were coming in with cups. News trucks. They were coming with trying to put burn-ins in cups to take back to their desk. It was so damn good.
I think burn-ins. So I tell you, Texas barbecue is the best, but I think a burn-in that came out of Kansas City is probably the best bite in barbecue. It was between that and beef ribs for me. But we talked about earlier, you don't need sauce in barbecue,
right? But
on a burn-in, you have to cover it in sauce and kind of let it caramelize. So it's not like sauce is running off of it.
Right.
But I that's, to me, it's the toughest thing to beat in barbecue. So I make it all the time. I'll just say this. I get poked fun of a little bit because I make it so much. And we do it at a lot of events. I mean, you've had it, but we do takes on it. Like, we've been chicken frying it for a couple years with homemade jalapeno ranch. People go nuts over it.
I love that. That was awesome.
And I'm going to keep doing it because why would you not chicken fry everything in your kitchen?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's back up and say this again. It was a chicken fried burn end.
With jalapeno
ranch.
Yeah.
And the chicken fried burn end. When you told me that, I literally, I stopped for a second and I thought it had to process for 1 second, right? You're busy, and I finally got, I said, what? He said, here, and you gave them to me. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and it's pure Texas, so I'll tell you where this comes from. So, eating at Dean Faring's restaurant in Dallas, he has chicken fried lobster. That was the first time I thought, you can fry anything. If you can fry lobster, then you
make
can
it
fry
taste
anything.
good.
And I've told him that because he loves having them. And I said, well, I want you to know that you were my inspiration for, one day on a Sunday, I literally fried like everything in my fridge, and including lobster.
Are you serious?
Like,
really?
Yeah. So we make a chicken fried
test kitchen?
dredge or breading. It was actually my real kitchen, aka my
I
test
know,
kitchen.
but it was going to be your test kitchen.
Yeah. So everything I had, we just fried stuff all day long. And so I fried these burn-ins. They're really good. Well, the jalapeno ranch idea comes from going to Chuy's. Like, who doesn't like to go to Chuy's and sit at the table and just eat chips and jalapeno ranch?
Right. That's right.
And so Kate, my son's girlfriend, makes that ranch for us, and it's really good. But we did an event. Red Dirt Barbecue Music Festival in Tyler is
right. That's
probably
coming
the
up.
coolest. It is.
That's
It's May
coming
4th.
Up. You're going to be there, right?
100%.
I think we're going to go. So we're going to go.
You got to
so
go. This
John's
is
gonna
the
give me some
6th
wristbands.
year. We've been there 5, and again, this is not bragging. This is just the weird thing about us. We have the longest line, and it's out of control. So the promoter came over, as a friend of mine, came over a couple years ago, 2 years ago, and he said, dude, your line is longer than the freaking beer line. And I was like, that's insane. But anyway, we've always done some sort of burnt end there, and it's just been a hit. So for that, I want to do different things, and we do mix things up and do different things, but we'll probably always have some sort of burnt end for the foreseeable future because they're such a hit.
They're just delicious. I think anytime somebody has one. So
we should tell everybody people don't know what it is. We should explain that.
Yeah, explain that. Go right ahead.
So on a brisket, there's 2 muscles. There's a flat and the point, and the point is the fattier end of the brisket.
Right.
So long story short, you basically smoke the brisket until it's done, and then you remove that point and you cube it up into 1x1 cubes.
And tell them how big that point is.
So, if the brisket were yay big, the point, and the muscles overlap, the point is usually, it's only 3 pounds of meat. It's not real big, but it has a lot more fat than the lean part, the flat. So if you go to a barbecue joint and you say, you say, I want brisket, they ask you, do you want the lean or the fatty or the moist? The fatty or moist is the point. So when your brisket's done cooking, you remove that point, you cube it up into 1 inch by 1 inch cubes. And then I season them with my Holy Gospel rub. It's got a little sweet in it. And you just toss them in that rub.
Yeah. Meat Church and Holy Gospel rub. Boy, you really played it, aren't you?
There's a story behind that. There's a story behind it. I have a rub called Holy Cow and a rub called the Gospel. And I put them together to make Holy Gospel, and it wasn't for a month that I was like, I just named something after the Bible. But it's very good rub.
I can go to Meat Church and get me Holy Gospel rub. That's 100%. Just, you sound like an evangelist.
I am. I am.
Stop.
So back to the burn-in. So you season these 1x1 cubes in the Holy Gospel rub, just toss them just to cover it, and then you coat it in your favorite sauce. So just enough sauce to turn them around with your hands and cover them. Don't you put these in a pan. You don't want to fill the pan up with sauce. Just coat them barely. And you put them back in your pit for about an hour. The fat continues to render, and all that sauce caramelizes, and you're left with the most tender, succulent bite of barbecue ever. So that's the basis of the burn-in. Came out of Kansas City, a place called Arthur Bryant.
And so tell us if someone's going to have pastrami burn-ins. So what? Because that takes a long time. So what is it? Did he tell me it was 3 weeks? Is that right?
A week.
A week. Okay.
So and people do different things, but to make pastrami, you normally brine the meat for about a week in a pastrami brine, and then everything else is the same after that, other than you may use a different seasoning. So.
And what kind of brine would that be?
There's a lot of pastrami brines out there that have a little cure in it. That
there's no one thing that makes it a pastrami brine.
Well, you got to have the curing stuff in it to do it. But people can go on Google and find any number of pastrami brine recipes. They're super simple and they're all over. And it's actually really, really good. And I like to take that and turn it into the form of something New York, like a Reuben.
Yeah.
But yeah, you let that thing cure for about a week or so, and as you talked about earlier, we've done it from brisket to tongue to everything else.
Now, that tongue was just. I mean, just.
We've enjoyed doing it so much lately that I think we're going to take our pastrami brine and our pastrami seasoning and sell it as a kit this year.
You should. What was?
I don't need a name for that.
Hey, no, you don't. I want to tell you someone who wouldn't try a tongue taco. She might be sitting inside the studio right there. She wouldn't try it. No, I don't want to try it.
Are you talking about Valentine's last night? Or are you talking about what we served?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Chef for Farmers. That was awesome. Okay, so let's talk about your spices. You got a bunch of spices.
Yep.
Well, hang on. Let's just talk about your merch in general.
Yeah.
You have hats, shirts, and you have spices. What else you have?
Yeah, so on the barbecue supply side, we have 13 seasonings. We've got 3 injections. We've got a brine. We've got a chicken fried breading. We have sauces on the roadmap that'll come out this year. And then we have a huge conglomerate of merch. So when we say hats and shirts, it's just not like your logoed thing. I mean, we've got a hoodie that just came out that has a built-in beer koozie and a bottle opener in it. So,
what?
We've got our own socks.
A bottle opener?
Oh, yeah. Hey, look on my website right now. I just got them back in stock. They'll probably
Meatchurch.com.
That's right. Yeah, right here in the middle, it's got a built-in koozie and it has a bottle opener in it. It's called the Tailgate Hoodie.
Are you serious? That's awesome.
It's I wore it all day yesterday.
Where'd you get that idea from?
Someone else actually makes the garment. So, just going through catalogs of stuff, I was like, all right, well, that's perfect for my audience, so we'll do that.
That's just a...
It's hard to beat.
I don't know how you keep them in stock.
Well, I don't. So, we buy them quite a few at a time, and they usually are gone within 2 days. And the other day, I was like, man, do I reorder these again? It's about to start warming up here. But having been in New York last week where it was a blizzard, I thought, well, it's still cold in certain places.
Yeah, it was snowing out there, right?
It was brutal.
All right, what kind of spices? Give me some of the names of some of your spices. You don't have to do all of them.
Yeah, so we have 9 barbecue rubs and 4 gourmet seasonings. And so on the barbecue line, we've got everything you need. Like our barbecue rubs are quite popular because they're really good balanced backyard rubs.
Right.
So between Holy Cow, Honey Hog, Gospel, Holy Gospel. When you look on my website, the cool thing is we have them in order of kind of popularity. So we have an 8-pack that's all the core ones. We have a 3, a 4, a 5. So it's real easy for you to, if you want to like get a good starter, you just buy the 3-pack, the 4-pack, the 5-pack. I have them in order of the most popular.
Oh, cool.
So, and then we've got a little kitchen series called a gourmet line where we have garlic and herb, lemon pepper, seasoned salt, seafood, stuff like that. We have injections for pork, chicken, beef. And then, like I said earlier, our chicken fried breading may be the best thing we sell.
Maybe. Have you talked to Grady Spears about that?
So Grady, I've told Grady, that guy's like my cooking idol. Yeah. I'm trying to convince him to work with me at Fort Worth Food and Wine this year. See if we can come up with something crazy. That's gonna be a big festival. So, what is your favorite spice that you have? Your favorite spice? Holy Cow is my beef rub, and Holy Gospel on the more all-purpose side. Those are the 2 that everybody needs. Okay, so you said you have 11. I have 9 barbecue rubs, and then 13 total with the 4 gourmet rubs. And then what's a gourmet rub? They're just a smaller form. Well, the 9 rubs are more barbecue rubs, so they're something you use in barbecue. The other 4 aren't really barbecue rubs, so lemon pepper, garlic, and herb. They're things I generally think you'd use in your kitchen. Yeah, lemon peppers. I love the way lemon pepper tastes. Yeah, put it on your what's funny about that? People either like it or they don't. There's no maybe. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's either yes or no. I love it. I love all these seasonings. So what is your, Matt, when you're not on I know you're always on, but when you're not on, what is your favorite thing? Like when you're just by yourself or you're running around, what's your favorite thing to eat? Come on now. It's definitely Asian food. So in New York this week, it's all I tried to eat. I mean, I eat tons of sushi. I love ramen, poke, Have you been to Asian Mint in Dallas? I have not. You need to go. Okay. It's one of my favorite places in all DFW. Cool. Anyway, so you like Asian. Love Asian, yeah. I do too. I love the flavor profiles. I don't know what it is. I just love it. It's always fresh. To me, I just like it. I spent a couple weeks in Japan several years ago, and it really kind of changed my life. But yeah, it's funny. Like if I don't want to cook, I'm down with fried rice, noodles, sushi. I could just eat that stuff all day long. Their culture amazes me. The discipline they have. Always on time. Their culture is clean. Unbelievable, amazing to me. Super clean. Chef Patrick's. He did some stuff with. What's oh God, now I'm drawing a blank with the sushi place, but I get stories all the time about how disciplined they are, and you watch them. It's just a different. I love the culture. I love that whole culture. I love all their food, everything they make. I mean, and I've tried some weird stuff, but it's always good. Now I'm not going to try that. I've seen a deal now. They have a live octopus.
and they
out on
pour
that.
sauce. I'm not. I can't do
Yeah.
that. I won't do that.
I did have horse when I was in Japan.
Oh.
It was fine. I mean, my family here wasn't real thrilled. People
No.
that raise horses.
You know, I
but
got
it was
40
good.
of them. I'm not going
It might be weird for you to have it.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
It
gonna
actually
be.
was good. So
So
know,
you
it's just
liked
not-
it though?
Yeah, it was fine. It's just not acceptable here.
So you're Asian. So what if you're on the go? What's fast food? What's your favorite fast food? Like the other day, John Teaser posted he eats frozen pizza. What do you
Oh,
like?
100% taco casa.
Oh, I love taco casa.
Taco light and a super burrito and a
Oh.
large sweet tea, and I'm set.
Taco light's got sour cream on it, and with that light
Everything
shell.
has sour cream. Yes.
Oh no, it's
In fact,
great.
I might
isn't
be
it?
going there when I leave here.
It's good, isn't it?
That is my guilty pleasure.
You just have to. Well, I actually there's one up here on beach. You just have to strategically make the plans because taco casas aren't just everywhere. So you've got to
No.
kind of make your plans.
Well, luckily there's one like 1 mile from my house, so I'm good.
Oh, is it really okay?
It's funny when I have people come in to collaborate with me,
Yeah,
and they all want taco casa.
isn't that funny?
So I say you have to get your body right. Like I had to do like a 2-week cleanse out when I first started eating it. Now I'm good.
So, what's your favorite meat to cook? Ribs, brisket. What's your favorite for you? If someone says, "I want you to cook me the best thing I'm going to ever eat from you," what would that be?
I'll give you a couple answers, but I'm known to cook 2 things, and it's because I cook them so much. I think tomahawk steaks. So I'm a ribeye guy. So
Yeah.
bone or not,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if something tastes better on the bone. There's that people think it does, and so obviously in Texas with the big bone, it's iconic and it's like blown up over the last couple of years. And then I cook a lot of beef ribs, so that's kind of like brisket on a stick.
Yeah.
That's very hard to beat, and so. I love taking that. I learned from Wayne Miller years ago to serve it in a nice fresh croissant. If you come to my class, I serve it in a fresh croissant that I have people at HEB make for me, and then I put a little cheddar cheese in it. I like cheddar with my barbecue coming from the markets in Lockhart, and so
Sure.
I always think of the history of things, and I just feel like that goes together. So
I'm a big cheese guy.
I'm a huge
Big.
cheese guy.
Yeah. I mean, I just
That's why the keto diet was good for me.
yeah.
Beef and
The
cheese.
keto diet, dude. You're gonna blow away. You can't lose any weight.
Well, I was on it. I'm good now. I'm on the way back up.
Tell us about your stuff. What you missed in Japan because you didn't look the part. Hang on, if you're not watching this on TV, Matt's a very slender feller.
Yeah, it was an Australian gig, and the guy said, "I'll be honest with you, the reason you didn't get the gig is you don't look the part." And, and I said, "Well, look, dude, I can put overalls on, and I could out eat you at barbecue. any
Maybe
day, but-
maybe shove a pillow down in front of the overalls where you look like you get a little barbecue belly.
yeah, I don't look at the part all the time, but it's probably good though in 2019. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
with such a focus on health and whatnot. Like it's played well for me in other areas where I have gotten gigs where they didn't want the guy that was whatever,
Yeah.
375 or whatever the case may be. And I got a lot of kids. I can't be going that route.
Oh, no, I know. So tell me, you at Chef for Farmers now. What are your events you're going to do this year? You're going to do Chef for Farmers?
Yeah, I am good. 100%. I love that event. We have a few food and wine festivals coming up, so we'll be doing the Arboretum Food and Wine Festival next month.
Where's our Arboretum?
In Dallas.
In Dallas, okay.
We'll
That's right. Okay.
We'll do Fort Worth Food and Wine.
Right.
Also next month, we'll do Chefs for Farmers. I've got random events.
Are you doing the barbecue this summer?
I'll do. We talked about
Smoked.
Red Dirt. I'll do Smoke Dallas, Smoke Fort Worth. I'm actually going to Houston Rodeo Wednesday. I'll be down there for 5 days with Miller Lite,
neat.
competing in that. Yeah. So
What do they have down there?
Houston Rodeo is one of the largest cook-off. It is the largest cook-off in the state, and so it's or the most well-known, I should say. I don't know if it ends up having the most teams. It's incredibly
I
hard
just
to get
can't
in.
keep track of everything anymore.
Oh
It's
man,
just
they
so
have
much
everything.
crap.
They have
Wow.
a million concerts, but the barbecue competition's a big deal. Average guy just can't get in it anymore.
Yeah.
And I signed a deal with Miller Lite last year, and they wanted me there. And I said, "Well, hey,
That's
could I
why you
compete?"
drink always showing Miller Lite. You dirty dog.
No, I drink it because it's less filling. It tastes great.
He's a branding dude.
And if you're on the keto diet, it has low carbs.
Oh, I didn't. Keto diet's got low carbs on them. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, so you're going down there to Houston.
Be down there next week. Next Saturday, I actually have a class at the gorgeous Whiskey Ranch here with
Oh, yeah.
TX.
I think we're going to be there.
You got to come to that.
Yeah.
I do a lot with them. So
My two
love
favorite
those
things,
guys.
Meat Church and TX Whiskey.
Yeah. How could you not?
How could you not?
You go over there and have their old fashioned. Jason will make you in the bar, and you'll be a believer.
You know, that stuff is so good, TX
And the
Whiskey.
place is gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I did a dinner there 2 Decembers ago, and I pulled in the gates and was like, "This is unreal."
Yeah.
And it was then my mission, to meet Leonard
They call
and
it Whiskey
Troy, and
Ranch, right?
It's Whiskey Ranch,
Yeah.
and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I love working with those guys. So I do a class about every quarter out there. We have a meeting next week, talk about other things we can do. So I love partnering with those guys. I love Texas brands and iconic
I do
brands.
too.
And
I champion the little guy. I love the Texas brands. You know, it's just
that's actually how we got Sour Miller Lite. It's a Texas beer, and most people don't think of that anymore. And so they're trying to get us to help remind folks of that. So Texas all the way.
Miller's pretty. I mean, it's a
big one.
It's a big one. I mean, you know, if you think about beer, Coors and Miller's they come to my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What was that beer that was so popular when I was back in high school many years ago? Past Blue Ribbon, is that still around?
Yep, it is.
I don't drink beer much of it. Yeah.
PBR.
I'm a whiskey vodka guy.
Yeah, that's what happens as you get older. You're a little more sophisticated.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how sophisticated I am after a bottle of whiskey. All right. So you also had a really cool smoker at Sheffer Farmers. Right, it was painted, right?
Yeah, that was actually my pit builder's smoker. That was an El Rey, and it's painted like a bomber. That thing's a head turner. So he lets me take that out to that event because it's so cool looking. So it's an El Rey, Robbie's personal pit. I think it's gorgeous. So yeah, we loaded that thing down with tongues and prime ribs and whatever we could put in there.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's like a $10,000 paint job.
Just a paint job.
So when people walk over there, I'm like, don't put your drink on that, please.
And what's it paint? I guess it's paint some kind of heat-resistant paint, so when it gets hot, it doesn't come off.
Yeah, there's a guy who lives up in Keller, Richard, and it's all airbrush, hand painted.
I met him last year at a barbecue event because he was at a huge barbecue event, and he had painted a bunch of these barrels.
The cans, yeah.
The cans.
Yeah.
Which are real. How do those work?
So that's a really cool way to cook, an old school way, and there's lots of different ones. So there's ugly drum smokers, some are, pit barrel smokers, a good one.
Right.
Basically, you're hanging meat, and so at the top of the barrel, they have rods across them, and you hook the meat and you hang it over there. So it's a little more it's a hotter cook.
Okay.
But it's very popular. Usually cooked about $3.25. Stuff's good.
Good. All right. Hey guys, meatchurch.com, TreysChowdown.com. Thanks for coming, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
This is the only 24-hour take anywhere platform